All right, guys, we are back and we are going down this journey, like I mentioned on the past couple shows, that we're going to look into what it takes to knock out some of your goals this year with buying a house, buying a car, being on that list, and bringing in different experts to kind of help walk you through that process. Today's guest, I got Michael Velazquez with us to talk to us really about credit and kind of what it is, what it entails, and how we can go about improving our credit scores to help us on that road to buy that new house and that new car if that is on your goals list. Michael, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting. Exciting.
Well, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for being here. So, give my listeners a little bit of background. I know we're talking credit. So what is your background in regards to the credit world?
Yeah, so born and raised in Chicago here. I went to school. I went to school for business. I worked a ton of sales jobs, to be honest. I kind of have that passion of working with people
Right.
and helping them, achieve their goals, which is kind of the theme of the show here, which is great. Um, I actually needed the credit repair myself.
Oh,
I had gotten into some credit card debt back in college. You know how these credit card companies just kind of target the young ones. I think I have free money with a credit card, and I'm buying drinks and just buying fast food and all types of college stuff.
right.
So I didn't really know how important credit was until later on in life when we want to start adulting and buying
Right.
houses and cars and things like that. And I needed the credit repair. And one of my good friends, her name's Carla. She actually reached out to me in Miami. She's been doing this for about 4 years now, and she was looking to tap into the Chicago market here for credit repair agents. And she reached out to me, and I let her know, like, hey, I can kind of use this program myself
Right.
to fix my own credit. And I've actually gone through the process myself. I was able to increase my score about 140 points in about 6 months,
Oh, wow.
just through the education of just little things here and there that make a huge difference on everyone's credit score. And now my job is to give back. So I'm constantly posting on social media. Things, financial tips, credit tips, things like that. And I have a ton of people coming to me, and I'm always willing to help. And I know credit can be like a sensitive topic for people.
Yeah.
They can almost be kind of embarrassed to reach out to you sometimes. And I was in that position, so I can feel. I know how they feel.
Oh, yeah.
So I always want to make sure that I'm that voice, that person that they can come to. If they're ever in a situation, or I can always give advice. Things like that. So I've been doing this for almost 2 years now, and it's business is booming. Everyone has goals in 2021. Everyone wants to buy houses, cars, and I'm here to help them.
Now, and thank you for that because again, a lot of the biggest premise on the show is to kind of help people think outside the box, and there are small things that we can do on a day-to-day basis to kind of help us achieve our goals, and I'm sure and we'll dive into that. Now, let's just kind of dive right in. So when we talk about credit, and again, I know this is a topic that a lot of people they think they know, but they really don't know, so what is a credit score and what goes into kind of calculating this magical number that kind of defines what we can buy and what we can do with.
Yeah, exactly. It's a three-digit number that basically tells a lender whether they trust you or not. It's your resume for a lender. They're going to look at this report and see, hey, should I give this guy a $10,000 auto loan or not? Should I, give this guy 50 grand on a house or not? So it's basically a score and a report that shows your history. It shows your spending habits. It shows your habits when it comes to payments on time. And there's really five factors that go into your score here. The biggest factor that affects anyone's credit score, which is about 35% of their score, is their payment history.
Okay.
When you're missing a payment, that can hurt your score greatly. Even if it's something small as like an insurance payment, auto loan payment, student loans, just one missed payment can reduce your score up to 70 points there. The second biggest factor is the credit card usage, which is about 30% of someone's score. When it comes to credit cards, most people tend to not max it out, but they get pretty close. And even if you're pretty close, that's hurting your score a ton. People should not be using more than 30% of their limit. So, they have a $5,000 credit card, they shouldn't be using more than 1,500. These lenders like to see that people are responsible with the money. They don't want to give you a card for 5,000 and you just swipe away 5 grand right away, and they don't know if you're going to pay that back on time or not. They may like collecting that interest on there, but even then, like, that's not a great spending habit of a good customer in the eyes of the lenders. Um, the third the third type is the length of credit, which is 15% of someone's score. So these lenders like to see longevity when it comes to being a loyal customer. The worst thing someone could do is close a credit card account, and this is a pretty common thing that happens because everyone has that one credit card that they don't really use too much. They just kind of took it out and maybe stash it in a drawer or something. But these credit card companies can actually discontinue that account for inactivity. So if it's just sitting in your drawer and you're not using it, you can actually have a closed account that you weren't even aware of, and that'll actually take hits on your points. So what I recommend for people, if you do have one of those cards, just take yourself out to lunch or something. Go fill up your gas tank once a month. As long as there's some sort of activity on there. The fourth thing that affects someone's score, which is 10% of the score, is the different types of credit. So there's installment loans and there's revolving credit. Installment credit can be something larger like an auto loan, a student loan, anything like that. The second type is more revolving credit, which is more the credit cards. So these lenders like to see diversity on your credit report when it comes to them deciding if they want to give you the money or not. And then the last one is 10% of new credit. So these are basically the inquiries that you're putting on your report. You should have no more than 2 inquiries every 2 years on your credit report. The problem is a lot of people and I come across this problem when I'm working with clients, is they start with a really low score and I end up fixing it. And now they think they can just go apply for everything in the stores, especially around the holidays. And whether they get approved for the card or not, that's still a hard pull on their report. And that's still a ding on their new inquiries there. So um, if you have more than 2 in the past 2 years, it makes you look desperate in the eyes of the lenders.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like, why is this guy pulling his report here? Why is he trying to get a personal loan here? Why is he trying to get this credit card here in a short amount of time? It's just a red flag. And those are the 5 main factors that can affect anyone's credit score.
Now, and you had mentioned about the the different types of pulls. So what's the difference between like a hard pull and a soft pull on your credit?
Yeah, so a hard pull is they're actually getting a full detailed report of your financial habits, basically. A soft pull is just kind of seeing the actual score, but also seeing like any major items that are on there. Things like bankruptcies and things like that. That can affect someone's decision. Even a lot of jobs nowadays are doing credit checks. They're doing soft pulls on their applicants, just to see if they're able to manage that money. Because if they're going to put them on a project that involves a budget with the company, they want to make sure that those habits are translating to the company as well. So credit is just becoming more and more important, and that's actually one of the biggest reasons why I actually got into the business.
Yeah. Now, with those, we know hard pulls, impact you and can drop your score. Does a soft pull do the same? Does it have the same ramifications as a hard pull?
It doesn't. It doesn't. No, just the hard pulls are the ones that actually get reported to the bureaus. The soft pulls don't, and even the hard pulls can actually be disputed um, to get removed as well.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, because the first thing I think of, when someone is out going to buy, like, a new car, right? Most dealerships kinda shop you around to try to find the best interest rate and things of that sort. So is that something, people should be aware of? Like, hey, it's not a hard pull because 'cause I'm sure they freak out, especially folks that really will monitor their credit. Is that something they need to look out for? Or I guess on
Absolutely.
but when do these things fall off? When does it stop showing, that your credit was pulled?
Well, they do take 2 years to fall off.
Okay,
But to back to your original comment about buying a car, you do need to be wary of that because the car salesman is just trying to find the best deal for you. Whether it's a hard pull, soft pull, they're just trying to find the best deal for you so that they can complete the sale. And this is a lot of this can hurt people because this guy is pulling your credit from 6 or 7 different places trying to find you the best deal. What I would recommend for someone that's car buying is to go to a credit union, get pre-approved for a certain amount of money because they'll just do one pull for you and then they can find how much money they can give you. Then go to the car dealership and say, hey, I have this much money, what can I get, kind of thing. And they don't even have to pull your credit report at all. They can just do a soft pull to see your score. But um, that's probably the best thing that someone can do so that they don't get those 6, 7, 8 inquiries
Right.
from that one car salesman that's trying to make a sale.
Yeah, most definitely great point there. Now, just out of curiosity, what are some things that people or things that can pop on your credit that may not be, I guess, the norm? I think everyone thinks, okay, my credit card, my car note, my house note, student loans, but are there other things out there that can actually be impacted? Like if you're delinquent on other bills that can end up being put on your, to hurt your credit?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much anything that's in your name, it could be a utility bill, it could be a Wi-Fi, cable, anything like that. But on the flip side, those can also benefit your credit as well. Um, I'm not sure if you've heard of the Experian Boost program, but Experian actually has a boost program where people can put those smaller things as positive items on their credit report. There's also programs on there where you can actually report your rent payments to the credit bureaus for renters. People that are looking to buy homes that are currently renting right now, and they can use a boost. This is something that they can use as a positive trade line on their credit report. So it kind of goes both ways. It can hurt you and it can also help you. But again, it depends on your habits. Are you
Right.
making your payments on time? Even if you are late, there's things that you can do to the company. If you're going to be late on the utility bill, let them know ahead of time. They don't have to report that late payment. Anything that gets reported to the bureaus is voluntary. So, some companies are, especially now with COVID going on, they're a lot more forgiving when it comes to people being late on things. That's the last thing you want is a late payment on your credit report there. So, hey, let the electric company know I may be a couple days late. You know, give me some time. I'm gonna pay it. And kind of give them your word on that, and they don't have to report that for you.
Yeah, and the big thing that I was trying to get at, so listeners understand, like, hey guys, it's more than just your credit card, the student loans, the house. You default on medical expenses. Like that stuff will creep up and and bite you if it goes to collections, and you may not see it for 6 or 8 months as it makes its way through the collections process, and the next thing you know, you got a letter in the mail saying, hey, you owe 500,000, whatever that bill may be. Now it's impacting your credit. Same thing, your T-Mobile bill, that sort, just things that we may not see on a regular day-to-day basis. If you get any kind of monitoring service, hey, good job, you paid your credit card bill, your
Right.
points are up and things of that sort. You may not see there are hidden things that you may not see that if it goes to a collection agency, if you put your social down they're gonna find a way to try to collect or at least
Absolutely.
tarnish what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Now, moving over to, looking at what are some of the more common things, and I know you're in the credit repair business, but what are some of the more common things that you see clients come in as kind of a misconception in regards to their credit? They're like, "Holy crap, like, I just turned 18 or 19 and like why do I have, hypothetically like a 520,
Mhm.
like what are some things that you see for new folks, just getting into credit that they may not understand why their credit's so low?
Oh man, I can go all day on this, but I hear crazy things all the time. Especially from younger people, just things that they hear from their parents and stuff like that just aren't completely true. One of the biggest things that I hear is collections, things that go into collections. Um, the way collections work is these collection agencies, they go around and they purchase information from banks, hospitals, auto lenders, and they see if there's any delinquent accounts. What they do is they purchase this information and now they know, hey, this guy George is 6 months late on his auto payment. Let's go hit him up and see if we can get some money out of him. Now, once it goes into collections, the original lender already written that debt off. Like they already written it off as a loss, on their taxes, and now they're just selling it to someone else. Once that actually happens, it's no longer the person's debt. So one of the biggest myths that I hear is, hey, I'm just going to pay off this collection account and it'll be taken off my report, which is half true. The only way that makes that true is if they actually agree for a pay to deletion agreement with the collection agency. They have to have that in writing that the collection agency is going to delete it off the report. Because if you don't have that in writing, they're not going to do it. That's just an extra step for them. Of that's not even like in their job description. Their job description is to get you to admit your debt on the phone and to collect money from you over the phone. That's how they make their commission. So one of the biggest things is I've had clients, especially recently, tell me, "Hey, I've actually paid this collection account, but it's still on my report, and the balance is zero." And that can be kind of confusing to clients where they have a zero balance on a collection account that's still hurting their score. It's because they never got it deleted, and they never told the collection agency to delete it. So the biggest mistake is that people will pay that stuff off without actually disputing it first. Because if we dispute it first, we may actually be able to get that removed altogether, without them having to pay that.
Right.
So that's a really big thing that I hear most common is just collections. One out of every four Americans have at least one thing in collections on their report, and that's 70 million Americans. So that's one of the biggest things. The second biggest thing is, someone that is brand new, like you mentioned, that just doesn't have the credit history. They never had a credit card before because their mom always told them, "Hey, don't get a credit card. Don't get a credit card." At least that's what my mom always told me. She's like, "Don't get a credit card. If you can't pay it in cash, don't get a card because you're just going to spend it all," which is true. I actually did spend it all. So that's how I got in trouble in the first place. But not having a credit card was almost as bad as having that debt as well. So um, someone that doesn't have the credit history, an option that they can do is they can take out a secured credit card. A secured credit card is basically a loan to yourself. You put a deposit on this card and you just use it responsibly. And that's how you build the history. That's how you build the longevity of the credit history with the account. That's how you can get positive on-time payments on your report. Again, like I mentioned earlier, there's other programs where people can report their rent payments to their credit bureaus. It's something that you're paying already. Why are you not putting that on your credit report? So there's a tons of things that people can do to kind of add to that history, especially when they're younger, maybe fresh out of college, never had a credit card, um, and things like that. Another thing is just the difference in the scoring models. There's a FICO scoring model and there's a Vantage scoring model.
Okay.
Most people use the Credit Karma account to kind of keep track of their score, which is great. The problem with that is that it's not always accurate because most lenders are using the FICO score model to determine if they're going to give you money or not. The Credit Karma is using a Vantage score model, which is a completely different scoring model. So when someone goes to a car dealership to try and take out a loan and they're thinking in their head, oh, I have a 715 credit score, I should be pretty good. But their FICO score is actually, like lower 600s. And that's a huge difference there.
Right.
So there's a big difference in between the FICO score and the Vantage score, and most people can get that confused. So I always have to explain that when I do my consultations with people. Like, Credit Karma is good to see, but like if there's any negative items on there, it can show you how to improve your score and things like that. But when it comes to the actual scoring model, those are completely two completely different ones.
Now, to get that particular score with the FICO score, can you go directly to the credit bureaus?
Yeah, you can make an account with every bureau. You go to Experian.com, make an account, they'll show you your FICO score. TransUnion.com, Experian.com, and you can make accounts that way.
Now, tell me this, 'cause, so there's 3 credit bureaus out there, 3 major credit bureaus out there, and I've seen it in talking to different lenders, so I'm assuming that different lenders will either have agreements with particular credit companies to pull, and your score can actually be different on all across all 3, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Not every lender reports to all three bureaus. You know, for example, a Capital One credit card may only report to TransUnion and Experian, and this is what leads to the three different scores. When someone pulls their actual report, they may see different numbers and be confused, which is another common thing that I hear with my clients. Hey, why do I have three different scores here? Why are they not the same? It's actually more common for them to be different than to actually be the same. It's actually almost rare if someone has the same three credit scores there. But yeah, the reason being is because not every lender reports to all the bureaus. Some only report to one bureau, you know, and that's why some collections may be on one bureau and not another one, which is also can work in the client's favor as well.
Okay. No, that that's good information to know because it is one of those things, especially when you're starting out, you know, fresh out of high school, into college, and those that just don't know, when you look at it, and guys, I'm gonna I'm piggybacking off some of the questions that one I've dealt with, and I'll dive a little into kind of the issue that I dealt with. But, one thing that I want you guys to understand, when you are coming of age and you're 18, like, it is important to at least look, at what that score is. And Michael, tell me if I'm wrong. I think you're allowed one free credit report per year, right? To check that, to check your score.
It used to be that. Since COVID came around, now it's actually you can do it, I believe, once a week now. Actually,
Oh, okay. Uh,
yeah,
but where I was going with that is one of the issues that I ran into. I'm a junior in my household. And when I turned 18, I had, kind of cross contamination of stuff between my father and me starting out. Is that something also common with common names, addresses, to where you may have different stuff pop on your credit report that you had no idea or may not even be yours?
absolutely. Especially with a name like George Lopez, I'm assuming, I'm assuming there you're not the only one.
My name that come up when you pull my credit, it's like variations of my name. So
No, it's actually very common, and one of the things that's another reason why to check it constantly. Like we should be checking it weekly. It doesn't have to be a full report, but at least see, some of the details that are on there, any items that are on there, because again, those can be disputed. Those are things that are hurting your score. That's not even yours. And if you're not checking that, down the line, that can hurt you, when it comes to buying a home, car, things like that. Um, but yeah, super common. It's not actually about 70% of reports have a mistake on there. It could be even if there's one character wrong on the name of something, that can actually be removed right away. You can say, hey, that was never my account. That's not even my name, kind of thing. And those are the laws that protect the clients.
And I'm telling you guys out there, these these agencies that report, a lot of them just tend to be lazy. Like when I
Mhm.
started to look into mine, I was like, hey, my dad's in his 40s at the time. Like I'm 18 years old. Like how you mix up birthdays and socials, and mine starts with these 3 numbers, his are a completely set of 3 different numbers to start with, but it came down to really of, what was the quickest method to report it? Okay, I have a George Lopez at this address, and, something that I was not doing at the time, me and my father do have different middle initials, and
Mhm.
that was something that I had to start doing as I got older, was to include that middle initial to differentiate between me and my father, because he would get, ironically, he would get all the good stuff that I was doing. Anything bad, for some reason, it fell on mine, but, it took us a little bit to get it taken care of, but it was something coming out of high school, like, I was thinking, "Oh my god, my the mailbox is gonna be flooded with new offers and stuff like that," and it never came, and when I went to buy my car for the first time, it was like, "You have some negative stuff on your your credit," and we had to go through the process of trying to dispute stuff, which
Yeah.
leads into, you know, as people find out what their scores are and they look, you know, at what point, I guess, would you say it's good to dispute on your own, and at what point should you bring a professional like yourself in to say, "Hey, we kinda need to overhaul this," and help you along the process? Because my own experience, it wasn't an easy process to try to dis
Mhm. I always use the barbershop analogy. You can go ahead and cut your hair, put your mirror up, try and give yourself a fade, but it's fingers crossed at that point. It's always better to go to a professional, someone that knows what they're doing, and someone that has access to professionals that can leverage the credit laws in your favor. Um, the way the process goes is we want to dispute the validity of the debt, and this is where the importance of the social being correct, the name being correct, because, like I said, if one character is off, that debt's not yours. It's not valid.
Right,
Um, and the biggest thing is we want to dispute things old school. We want to have a paper trail when it comes to disputing, for multiple reasons. Because you can dispute things online, which may be more convenient, maybe a little bit faster than sending things in the mail. But the reason why we want to do them in the mail is because when you're disputing online, you're giving up very important consumer rights. When you are disputing things, these bureaus now have up to 45 days to do their investigation on things that you're disputing. When you're certifying your mail, it has a timestamp on there on when it was mailed out. From there, that's when the clock is ticking on the bureaus to start their investigation. When you're doing things online, there's kind of like a gray area there where they can kind of stretch it out a little bit. Who knows? Maybe it's a computing error or whatever.
right.
That's why we want to do things old school via mail. The second reason why we want to do it through the mail is because if you're disputing things online, they're not obligated to give you a full detailed report of their investigation. All they can say is, hey, this was deleted. Hey, this was not deleted. And maybe give you a sentence saying why. When you're disputing in the mail, now they're obligated to fill out an entire full report. And my clients get these reports in the mail, and they can be up to 14, 15 pages, depending on how many items are on there that we're disputing. So we want to make sure that we're getting those detailed reports on to make sure that the information is accurate. Because if it's not accurate, then we can dispute that again. Like, hey, this isn't accurate, things like that. Um, so yeah, the dispute process can be very complicated, and it can be very confusing, and it can be very frustrating. And it does require patience because, like I said, these bureaus have up to 45 days to respond. But like I said, I always use the barbershop analogy. You can do it on your own, but I would recommend going to professional.
Now, what's the biggest misconception about going to a credit repair specialist that you would like to, publicly kinda squash either the myth or just this is what you hear, about the credit repair industry?
I just hear a lot of horror stories. There's people out there that just don't care about the clients. You want to work with someone who cares about you, someone who's available. I hear horror stories of people going to credit repair agents and just never hearing back from them again. They pay, and they charge ridiculous amounts of money. They're charging thousands of dollars and just don't know what's going on. They have no updates on their process or anything like that. So, I always want to tell my clients like, hey, I'm going to be your consultant. I'm going to be on your butt to make sure that we're getting these letters out on time, to make sure that you're sending me the updates when you receive them, to make sure that we're updating the system here properly. All of my clients get their own credit portal. So I want to make sure that they can access that 24/7 and they can see their own process. They can also see when their dispute letters are being mailed out. So everything is there's a paper trail, like I mentioned. Everything has a date on it. So this is another way for me to hold my clients accountable. Them saying like, "Hey, I never got my letters in the mail, or I never got them in my email." Well, it says it was mailed out here. January 16th. Go back to your email and check on January 16th. Maybe check your spam folder. This is a way for me to be on top of my clients as well. So, I choose again, I'm not really in it for the money. I'm in it to help people because I was in that situation myself. And, like you mentioned before, myself too, like I never really had that financial education in school, whether it was grade school, high school, or even college. Like I didn't know anything about credit, money management, anything like that. So, I want to give back to my clients, and the misconception is that we're just here to take people's money, and we're not. There's a lot that goes in. There's a lot of work on my end that goes into it. to make sure that my clients get the fastest and best results so that they can start achieving their goals for 2021.
Now, if someone is looking for credit repair, I guess what are some tips as people go out and shop? Like, are there any maybe common questions they should be asking or looking for when it comes to credit repair?
Yeah, we'll obviously ask about the fees. It's kind of you get what you pay for kind of thing. Because I've also had clients say, "Oh yeah, I paid $25 to get my credit repaired and it didn't work." Well, it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. It's you get what you pay for. But you also you just want to read the person. Go with your gut and feel your vibes. Is this person really going to stick with you and push you through the process here and stay on top of you? You also want to make sure that they're disputing everything at once. Some credit repair companies will charge you per item that they're disputing. You want to make sure that they're disputing everything at once because you'll get results faster that way, and it's actually probably comes out cheaper that way. Um, and I mean, those are really the main things. Just go with your gut, make sure that this is the right person for you.
No.
You don't want to just do it with anyone.
Right, right, and it's definitely one of those things to also, just like anything, look, a lot of, reviews online,
Reviews, yeah.
do your homework and really look into a company because it is an investment, which is one thing that you should expect as well. That this is an investment on one. This is your financial report card. If you really want to look at it, your credit is your financial report card that you're putting out to the world. So it's something that you definitely want to make sure you're taking care of. Now, talk to me about the process. What are the expectations that you tell your clients, or at least we should let our listeners know? Like, if you are going to embrace this journey, like, what is this journey? Is it quick? Is it 60 days? Is it 2 years? Like, what are some of the expectations someone going through the process can expect?
Be patient. I tell that to all my clients, be patient because especially now with COVID, like the mail system has slowed down. All the bureaus are working remotely. Everything has just slowed down ten times fold. And which is why they extended the investigation period from 30 to 45 days for the bureaus now. So I always let my clients know, just be patient. Like you didn't ruin your credit in 30 days. It took you years of missed payments. It took you years, of maxing out credit cards and compiling this debt. Why would you expect it to get fixed in 30 days? That's kind of not fair on my end. Um, so I always tell them, be patient. Not everything is going to get removed on the first round of disputes. So the process is it can take up to 3, sometimes 4 rounds of disputes for things to get deleted. So I always want to I don't want to promise them a certain time period that you're going to get fixed. And I also never want to promise them a certain score that they're going to have because again, everyone's situation is different. I can't predict, what your score is going to be at if something gets deleted within 30 days or not. So I always tell them, be patient, and always communicate with me. Anytime you get anything in the mail, we want to send that to me so I can update their file. So that if we send out a second round of disputes, we're not disputing something that was already removed.
Right.
And so be patient, be communicative, and just be curious. I always tell my clients, be curious, ask me questions. Don't be afraid to ask me things. Don't be afraid to ask me before you make a decision on something. If you're thinking about taking a credit card while I'm repairing it, don't do that. That's another inquiry that's going to go on your report. So be curious, be communicative, and just be patient.
No, that's key because, like I said, this is a process and it's a two-way street. That's one thing that I know people need to understand is that it takes the client and the credit repair specialist to actually make this happen. Because again, we're putting things through the mail, but it's going to go back to your client. Most cases, they're going to get probably the response back to them. I'm assuming it may go to them, and then if they're not, letting you know that you got a response, then it again, it's things tend to be time sensitive and things of that sort. So as you guys go on this journey, just remember, you're wanting to find a partner that one you work well with, but it is a two-way street. Michael and folks like him can only do so much, and if you're not providing them the information that is needed to help continue his process, then you're going to end up in this vicious circle where you're kind of not really going anywhere, and then
Absolutely.
you know why it didn't get repaired. Excuse me. Now, on a- as we really look into why this happens, again, every person in every situation is different. Um, but Michael, if you had to give, you know, 3 tips, and we'll just go with someone new to the credit world, and then give me 3 tips for someone who's, a little bit more experienced and have credit. What are some things that someone new to credit can do to kind of, one, boost their score, and two, maintain, a pretty decent score, and keeping it high?
Yeah, one is make your payments on time. Especially if you're younger, you probably have student loans. Maybe you're living in college and now you finally have your own apartment. You make your rent payments on time. Maybe you have a utility or two in your name. Never miss a payment. That's one of the biggest things that will hurt them. Number two is understand what credit is. Like I said, when I was in college, I didn't understand what it was. All I knew is they had, this is actually illegal now, but back when I was in college, they were able to make table stands in the student center, and they would give you like free gear to sign up for a credit card, and they give you all types of free stuff, free meals sometimes. And being in college, you don't have money, and free food is free food, so you sign up for a credit card. Understand what that means. That means that you're in an agreement now with this company to be responsible with your money. It's not just your personal money now. Now you have to be responsible with this card. This card just isn't imaginary money. And that's really hard for young people to understand because it's not physical cash that you can feel. Like
Right.
it's just a plastic card. So there's no like emotional attachment to the money. And this is where a lot of people, even adults now, are, hundreds of tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt. And, they're just digging their own grave there. So just being understanding how credit actually works, even when it comes to interest rates, when it comes to late fees, anything like that, just understand how it works and be responsible with it. And then my third thing is just do research, learn about it. Now with the internet, Google everything. There's nothing that you can't learn about credit. And when I joined this business and I was actually repairing my own, I still didn't know a lot about it. I still had to do my own research. I still had to, learn my credit education. I had to get on webinars with people. I had to set up one-on-one with credit experts to just ask questions. Even with my mentor Carla, like I was that annoying person that just asked a million questions. So just be curious and make sure that you're doing your research when it comes to things that can hurt your score, things that will help your score. Like I said, there's programs out there that can help a young person score right away. Reporting your rent payments, secured credit cards. Those are two of the biggest things.
Yeah, and now as we move over to someone who is a little bit more experienced and, may have a decent credit score, what are some things, that that person can do to either help themselves increase their credit, or just any pitfalls, stay away from this or make sure you're doing this?
I mean, someone that has a great credit score probably already has the good spending habits and financial habits to even get that score that they already have. Um, there's a couple things that they can do to not only keep that score but also to keep raising it is just by having a thicker credit file. Some people may have a decent score but they don't have a lot of items on their file, so if something does go derogatory on their file, that can significantly drop their score because they don't have other accounts to make up for that negative one.
Right.
The sweet spot is to have anywhere from 18 to 21 accounts on your file, whether they're opened or closed, positive or negative. We want to have 18 to 21 because if one does fall off, the other 17 can still hold up your score there. The common thing that I see is just people just don't have enough trade lines on their credit file. And then this is where they can add these certain products that add those to those files. So they can add their utility bills, their water bill, Wi-Fi bill, even You can even add your Netflix account now. They just recently updated that as well. So there's certain little things that can add to your file. So the thicker the file, the better. And that's how you really get to 800 plus credit score, by having a good number of accounts.
No, that's great. And then one last question. So you mentioned it right there. So what is, I guess, a perfect credit score, or is there a perfect credit score?
Yeah, 850.
850.
850. Yeah, that's the highest score that anyone can get. I think less than 1% of Americans have it. um, I have clients and friends that are now close to that. I've never seen an 850 credit. I don't have an 850 credit score, but it is out there. There are people that do have it, and that's where they have their 100% payment history. They have less than 1% credit card usage. Their length of credit is probably 10 to 15 years old. They have about 18, maybe 20 plus accounts on their file, and they don't really have any inquiries. So it's definitely doable. Just takes discipline, and it also takes time.
Gotcha, Michael. Now, if someone is looking for some help, where can people find you, Mike?
I'm a big Instagram guy. So I love Instagram. I post a lot of testimonials. I also have a link there where they can schedule a free consultation with me. I phone, email, I have it all.
Okay. What's that Instagram handle if they're looking to find you?
So it's at my name, Michael Velazquez underscore official.
Official. There it is. And guys, it will be on our website. We'll have Michael's profile, linked with this episode, and we'll have, his IG address there, website, all the other good stuff. If you guys want to reach out to him. And again, I would say if you even have a bit of questions, at least take the free consultation and talk with him to see if there could possibly be some help there, or some tips that at least can put you back on the path. It doesn't hurt to ask. Again, being curious and seeing what is out there, guys. Michael, thank you for your time, brother, and I definitely appreciate the knowledge that you're helping me spread, with this show, and kind of helping people achieve their goals for 2021, whether that be buy a house, buy a car, or just get, back on track when it comes to their own finances.
Absolutely. I love to help people, and this is really awesome. This podcast that you're doing, I really appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you, brother. And again, have a great evening. I know it's cold in Chicago right now,
Yeah,
so stay warm. And again, man, we'll have to bring you back on tail end of the year so we could talk, 2021, and see, what kind of pitfalls we had, and even helping people get ready for 2022.
absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.